Haribol. So, Haribol Anutama. Charles, how are you? We'll see you soon. Naiman. Did I say that right? Naman or
Yes, Maharaj, the latter. Naman. Hare Krishna.
Naman? Naman. Jai. Thank you, bro. It's so good to have you there. Always good. Okay. And yeah, Pavitra's coming. I was just in her country. Suriname, how are you? Hare Krishna. Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Nice to see you again. Yeah, nice to see you again. Great, great. Yeah, we had a good time with our walk in your country. And we have to go back now because we had a few more kilometers to cover. We have to go every year until we finish it. Yeah, but it's a commitment after I got my new knees. This is the first time I'm doing a major walk again. I just have to be careful about it, and gives me a good excuse to come. And everyone is invited. Anybody in this call can come to Suriname, have a new experience. Do some Harinam in Suriname. Haribol. All right, Uday, you're with us. Great. Vaishnavi, anything else you'd like to do? I guess we can just start very shortly. Just going by the clock. Exactly. Yeah, it's 5 o'clock. So let us get started then. Okay, no need to hesitate. Nama Om Vishnuvadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutare Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminita Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschachadi Shatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you very much, everyone, for being on board. Now we'll go to our introductory verse, invocational mantra. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanam Jana Shalakaya
Jnananjana Shalakaya
Shalakaya.
Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
I was born in the darkest ignorance,
I was born in the darkness and
Ignorance.
and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of
Spiritual
knowledge.
master opened
and
my
his
eyes
spiritual
with
eyes
Open
the torch of knowledge.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
I
I
offer
offer
my
my
respectful
respectful
obeisances to him.
unto him.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna. All right. So I guess we'll ask our host, Vaishnavi Devidasi, to give us the verse that we're on today.
We are starting with the new chapter 17.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Very exciting. Chapter is entitled The Divisions of Faith. We are going to be meeting with the three modes of material nature in this chapter. Like we mentioned before, Krishna sprinkles them all over the place in the Bhagavad Gita, and they keep popping up like popcorn. What a goodness, what a passion, what a ignorance. And you have to know how to deal with them, you know? You have to know what this is all about and why they're there. Okay, so we'll go for the first verse then. Okay, which I'll do the Sanskrit for and the English, and then we can actually have, I'd say, just it might be short readings, but just so everyone gets a chance, we can get 3 people to read, and you can do it nice and slow, not a problem. Would you like to select the people in queue, Vaishnavi? We can go for volunteers.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we can go with Guru Das, Purnachandra, and Vasanta, all you.
Okay, wonderful, great. So here we go. Arjuna Uvacha Ye Shastra Vidim Utsrijya Vijante Shradyan Vida Tesham Nishta Dukha Krishna Satvang Aho Rajastamaha. Translation. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of Scripture, but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? Hare Krishna. Jai.
Hare Krishna. Purport. In the 4th chapter, 39th verse, it is said that a person faithful to a particular type of worship gradually becomes elevated to the stage of knowledge and attains the highest perfectional stage of peace and prosperity. In the 16th chapter, it is concluded that one who does not follow the principles laid down in the scriptures is called an Ashura, demon, and one who follows the scriptural injunctions faithfully is called a Deva or demigod. The next person, maybe?
Now,
Thank you
if
very much.
one, okay, now if one with faith follows some rules which are not mentioned in the spiritual injunctions, what is the position? This doubt of Arjuna's is to be cleared by Krishna. Are those who create some sort of God by selecting a human being and placing their faith in him, worshipping in goodness, passion, or ignorance? Do such persons attain the perfectional stage of life? It is possible for them to be situated in real knowledge and elevate themselves to highest perfectional stage. Do
Thank
those
you so much. Last person.
Do those who do not follow the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but who have faith in something and worship gods and demigods and men attain success in their effort? Arjuna is putting these questions to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So oftentimes a lot of chapters open up like this with questions, not just one, but maybe sometimes a few. And just like we have the case here. And then we're open to hear what are the responses. Questions are always good because most of us have the same kind of queries in our head. And so it's quite relevant to hear.
Maharaj, can you hear us?
What the three guna are, because it's been
Maharaj is cutting off?
Yeah.
on their own. Yeah. And yet they're next door neighbors to each other. They are what make up the physical world. And you can say their attitudes as well, attitudes that come from these influences. More particularly, Arjuna is asking, what about those who just don't follow uh, scripture and they work according to their imagination? Where do they fall? So it's natural. It's not so that it encourages judgmentalism, but it just helps us to see things in their proper perspective. So, like in our Western culture, everything's good, everything's okay, right? Nothing's really much of a problem, almost anything goes. At least that's the way I feel about it sometimes. You can believe in what you want to believe, but at the same time, you have to understand that, zooming around us are these three gunas, three energies it's clearly black and white. Now, when we're looking at the three energies, oh, there's a third thing in there here.
Maharaj,
So, yeah, you can't hear me?
yeah, you are getting cut off quite often. So maybe we can try without the video to see if that will work.
I'm on a computer here. Do I buy an upper room? I'm getting cut off a little bit. It was choppy also, according to them.
So we will try without the video to see how it goes.
Well, maybe that's the best thing to do. Do you want to try that out? Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, so let's run with that then. Okay. So I'm not sure what we missed here. The last thing I was saying is that in the previous chapter, we were looking at two powers. One was divinity, and the other one was darkness, even evil, we can say. Degradation is maybe a good word. Now we're hopping on to this chapter, but not to confuse, but we're talking about three divisions now. Can everyone hear me okay now? Can you just give me some indication, like
Yes, I can hear. Anybody else? Can you?
Charles, I
Okay.
see you there.
Maharaj, I can hear.
Yes, we can hear.
Anutama?
I can hear you, Maharaj.
Okay, oh, thank you.
Yep, I
Thank
can
you.
hear.
Adhikar Jaji, Ki Jai. Yeah, so this is not to confuse the two versus the three. It just means we're getting a little more sophisticated. That's all. Was that a selfie? Yeah. Oh, God. But we have to understand that life is kind of complex, especially for human beings. I just came for a walk along, I think it was Monroe Lake Monroe. And there's lots of birds there. And they're all doing the same thing. They're all doing the same thing. Like they're just flying around, looking, waiting for some fish to flop around. And it's all the same. It's just the same. And when it comes to humans, it's a little different. As we were walking, somebody was fishing. Another person along the promenade was just on a swing, I guess meditating in his own way. Yeah, we saw one guy, he was just kind of like working out, punching someone in the air. And he did that for a long time. So there are all kinds of different things that humans were doing. But when it came to the bird species, they all seem to be pretty much after the same objective. So anyways, I'm just saying we're more sophisticated humans. Life is a little more complicated. And because it is complex, therefore it opens up the road to self-realization, introspection, getting spiritual, etc., etc. So that's all very nice. Yeah. The main thing here is let us just find out what it means when you don't follow scripture. You step outside of that and you make your own rules. What is that? Where does that land you? In goodness, passion, or ignorance? So I guess, I don't know, we talked about how questions are there in the beginning of a chapter often, and that's how they start off. That's what makes it very clear. Okay, we're on a new subject now. Whatever was said by Krishna prior is now complete. Now it's time to hit on to another topic. And that's how the conversation is divided, based on a kind of a back and forth question and answer. I don't know if you've given thought to that, but that's how the Bhagavad Gita is divided over the 700 verses. Good. So we'll open it up for any other questions that you may have and or comments, you just realizations.
Maharaj, I want to make a comment. Yesterday, I saw something very crazy. You were talking about birds. Yesterday, down by the lake, because my lab is by Lake Erie, I saw two little birds fighting each other. Two little sparrows. They were little guys, and they weren't even scared that I was standing there. I was watching them, and they were like pecking at each other. I was like, it's Kali Yuga for real, because I've never seen two birds that can fly pecking at each other. There was
Of the same species.
open air. Yeah, but they were the
Yeah.
same species. They were both little brown sparrows. They were going after each other for no reason. I was like, wow, like the world is definitely getting bad. The animals are attacking each other in front of the human, and you would
Are you
think they'd be
sure?
scared 'cause they're bigger.
Are you sure it wasn't two prabu's or just two pros, fighting over a chick?
I don't know. All I saw was the two Prabhus right there. So if there was something else around, it was at a distance.
Well, I'll just have to keep in mind everything Prabhupada said about eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And the only thing that I always felt was missing a little bit was recreation. But anyways, maybe that's the mating part. Yeah, it's good to learn a lot, to get away from your device, go outside, watch the animals. I think you can learn a lot from them, and you can see spilling out of their activities is the goodness element, the passion element, and the ignorance element all at the same time. A lot is to be learned from just being outside. Yeah, and what you see animals doing kind of confirms what is being said in the Gita itself. So it's beautiful to balance your life like that. Like, get away from the devices, get away from the cars, spend some time, downtime, for uptime. All right. Thank you, though, for your observation. Anybody else?
I just had a reflection. It's not really a question, but this verse reminds me of, and I was looking in the Bhagavad Gita where the verses were that I had in mind, and I think it's chapter 9, where Krishna says that, when someone's worshiping other, gods or like demigods, he gives them faith, and he's actually he that rewards them accordingly. And this, I guess it relates to what Arjuna is talking about, so that even if someone's, misguided, or they're kind of worshiping a deity or a god in a mode of ignorance or passion, or somehow otherwise misguided, still Krishna is there observing and um, rewards the person accordingly, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he watches you. He sees what direction you're taking, and because you're very insistent and you're exploratory, Krishna says, "Okay, here, I'll satisfy your desires. Figure it out for yourself, because you're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. So here, learn it for yourself. Bump into walls, fall into a hole, learn it all for yourself. And after a while, you might come and understand what I'm actually talking about here." So Krishna, he encourages an individual when he sees they're quite insistent in going a certain direction. He sometimes gives the intelligence, but hopefully in time, we'll all learn. We just have one life to make good with what we have. As a human being, you've got all the smarts, you've got all the experience to come to a certain point where at the end you'll say, I was an enemy. I was envious of you all my life. I'm talking about somebody at the fag end of life and saying to the so-called enemy, but I'm more of the rascal, you know. I don't know why I hated you so much. Like beautiful revelations come up just before one passes away.
Mm,
You know, those things might surprise you, but that's kind of the way it is. A lot of confession comes out, realization at the end. But during the process, Krishna will give you kind of what you need to move forward in the direction you want to take. And hopefully you will hit a brick wall and you will smash yourself a few times before you come to the revelation of, hey, I should just surrender. I should just let go, give up my nonsense. Yeah, so thank you for that. Krishna does do that for certain worshipers of demigods. He instills faith and, he'll do that. But let's keep in mind that what direction you take, uh, Krishna will give you the energy to go in that direction. He is the Shabdiki Purusham Drishu. He is the ability in everyone. So maybe the verse that you're referring to is, I am the taste of water, I am the light of the sun and moon, I am the Vedas, I'm the Vedic sound Om, and I'm the ability in everyone. Shabdiki
right.
Drishu. I just think that or at least for me, that is one of the most significant lines in the Bhagavad Gita. Shabdake Purusham Nrishu. I'm the ability in man, or the ability in everyone. You know.
Yeah, I think I was thinking of, I looked it up just now, 923. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of
Right.
Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way.
Right. Yeah. And I remember the old translation that was given to us. He instills faith in someone, and they go to a direction that without understanding,
Right.
something paraphrase without understanding that it's under Krishna that we go, not all of these other like distractions.
Right. Thank
If
you.
you're walking down in a bush in a jungle or something like that, there's always a main trail, right? Perhaps somebody, and then there's these subsectional trails that will maybe veer off a little bit and they'll connect with the main trail. So and that's what the distractions are there for many of us, but hopefully we'll get back on track, the Krishna trail. Thank you. Anybody else have any comments on this verse, which has some questions to it? All right, then let us move on to the next one, if you peruse don't mind. The answers will come. Can we get someone on the Sanskrit? Read it nice and slow. Get the English down slow. And then we have time again to just let everyone have experience. Go a little slow with the reading and let's fit 3 people in, all right, for the purport reading.
Okay.
All right, so Vaishnavi, do you want to help us with that?
Anutama Prabhu, Uday, um, I don't know if Naman can go, and I am not sure if others can read. Oh, Pavitra can read,
Okay. One more person.
and Sankalpa.
Okay, great. All right, let's begin then. Let's hear from the Pundit.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Chetitam Shrinu.
Thank you, beautiful. Nice.
Hare Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds: in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Now, hear about this.
Good. Readers? Purport readers?
Pavitra,
Those who know the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but out of laziness or indolence give up following these rules and regulations, are governed by the modes of material nature. According to their previous activities in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, they acquire a nature which is of a specific quality.
Thank you so much. That's great. There's a lot said there. Okay, next person.
I don't know if it's me, but I can read. The association of the living entity with the different modes of nature has been going on perpetually. Since the living entity is in contact with material nature, he acquires different types of mentality according to his association with the material modes. But this nature can be changed if one associates with a bona fide spiritual master and abides by his rules and the scriptures.
Yes, thank you. That's very good. And then we'll have the last
Naman,
person. Then.
Naman, are you ready?
Gradually, one can change his position from ignorance to good.
Got muted there.
Yeah, you dropped off. You fell off a dike there in the Netherlands. You fell into a canal, maybe.
Here we go. Here we go. Gradually, one can change his position from ignorance to goodness, or
But
from passion. Huh?
just asking about Naman. Naman was the reader.
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay. Go, Adhikar.
Go ahead.
From passion to goodness. The conclusion is that blind faith in a particular mode of nature cannot help a person become elevated to the perfectional stage. One has to consider things carefully with intelligence and the association of a bona fide spiritual master. Thus, one can change his position to a higher mode of nature. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So many good things were read there. And just to start off, my comment is there. The word Bhagavan is used to refer to Krishna. They are interchangeable. I just want to make that clear. And that Bhagavan is the more common nomenclature as opposed to the word Krishna. Now, what Krishna here is confirming that there are three energies that influence us. Now, let's get into the details, he said. He says, Shrinu, hear from me. Let's get down to the fine details. So one thing that's pretty clear, like we're born here into this world with a certain nature and mentality. That word mentality is very connected to nature or your mode of existence. And the way you behave now is quite dependent on your previous activities from a former life and the influences that came into your life. So I think one good thing about parenting is that parents can see how children are and how they're quite, even though they came from the same source, same mom and dad, and in the same conditions, the children end up being quite different from each other. I stayed last night with a couple in the Toronto area before I took the early flight to get to Florida, and they have a current dog. Now that dog is Mr. Cool, Mr. Shanti, Mr. Peacefulness. The previous dog they had, as soon as he comes, he's all slobbering all over you, and then he'll grab your shoe and chew it up to bits. It just, all over the place, Mr. Passion. And so you can see of course, they're not coming from the same source, but within one household. And so studying children, studying animals and their different natures is just really kind of intriguing. It's actually very entertaining. And you may wonder, where did this come from? So the answer lies in that the Atma was under a strong influence from one of those three modes. And but that can change, right? The nature of living entity can somewhat change by the way it's molded and shaped by the owners, or in this case, when it comes to pet owners, in the case of human beings, by parents. So you can switch modes. You can, you know, it's like it's there in American politics, really very pronounced. You know, people swung over from this guy, the candidate, to another one, and now they're going back, and we're experiencing the same thing in Canada too. Like everyone was in favor of one individual, and then suddenly, because of decisions made that didn't suit the purposes, therefore they just switch over, in another direction completely. And the attitude generally is, in a democratic system, that person's been around enough. It's time for a change, isn't it? Time for a change. So we change our minds based on certain factors. So just like people change political parties, their allegiances change, natures change. Many of Prabhupada's followers were hippies, from hippies to happies, or from punks to monks, and this way you change because you're inviting someone in who will help you to see the world fine-tuned, right? And this study of the three modes of material nature, it's really good. It's really good. If you see those flicks where the lion's going on the chase and pounces on a creature and jabs in the jugular vein, it's kind of hard to see sometimes, but it's definitely activity in the mode of passion, as opposed to a cow chewing its cud, as they say, eating the grass, not minding its own business, leaving some droppings, fertilizing the earth, offering milk. So many good things. It's a different mode altogether. It's a peaceful one. And of course, then there's preachers in the mode of ignorance and just all out to strike at anything. Thank you, Bruce. Any other comments on this? Beautiful shloka.
I would like to say something. Yeah, I think every devotee actually experienced this complete change, depending on, of course, where we come from. But I know just from the country I came from Germany, there was somebody who was in a real, real low position, and he's a guru now and has been so for like 40 years. And it's quite astonishing how just the holy name and the mercy of a pure devotee can make such drastic changes in one's modes and in one's elevation to the spiritual platform.
So you're mentioning that you just saw real change in the person, right?
Yeah, has been a guru now for 40 years, and he was in a very abominable situation. When I was living in Germany, we were all always talking about that example, that how Prabhupada can lift one up like anything if one is sincere in one's pursuits.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think it's really interesting to note there has to be a strong will to change. Otherwise, it's very difficult to happen. The modes of nature are quite set. It's like almost like concrete mode of goodness, concrete mode of passion, a concrete mode of ignorance. Hard for people to change. But if deep inside you have a strong desire to change, and you let somebody like like your guru kind of like mold you and shape you, yeah, you can definitely change. You can evolve like anything, and I think that's what we're getting out of reading Prabhupada's books, or just sitting down, hearing the guru speak, or just taking advice. Um, you know, let don't just let your mind do everything for you. Halt, stop.
See.
When we're, let's say, in our adolescence, idolize someone, and oftentimes we like wear the same clothes they wear. They like to walk the way they walk, want to follow certain gestures that they carry, and so we definitely idolize or canonize some people. We get molded by them, but there's something we have to consider. Do you want to follow, you know, the model of goodness, the model of passion, or the model of ignorance? And most people just don't understand the difference between them all, because we just say, the old adage is all men are created equal, or everyone's the same. Well, yes, equal opportunity, but not that everyone is the same in mentality. And there are clearly three different mentalities here. That's what this chapter is quite all about. We have already read about the three modes of nature, and we're just coming across it once again. Any other comments, Prabhus? Chapter 14 was the three modes of material nature.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I have a question.
Yeah.
So in Christianity, do they have the concept of guru, or whether Catholic or Protestant or whatever?
Yeah, they do have a situation where for Christianity, it's Jesus is the main, let's say, the constant principle for them, but they do have Jesus representatives. It could be a minister, it could be a priest. They have different terms for them. In the category of women, there might be some nuns there that inspire people. Yeah, they lead a simple life. They lead a honorable life, dedicated to worship and to doing good for others. Because we always hear that most people hear about the nightmarish stories, unfortunately. But there are some good people out there, and in other traditions, yeah, they do have their so-called prophets, if you will. Yeah. In all the traditions, the Jewish tradition, Islam, but they are supposed to exemplify the qualities of the forerunners, um, the founder acharyas, if you will, um, their main guru figurehead. So specifically, you asked about Christianity. So yeah, they have their ministers and so on like that, but it varies from denomination to denomination. But there are some principles that are intact. Like, well, for most Christians, it's Jesus, and sometimes they have some other influential characters in there that are outstanding. I think in ISKCON, what we really have to be concerned about is that Prabhupada remains as a central figure, and we have to do everything we can to keep it that way. Not that we can be inspired by others, his disciples of their disciples, disciples of etc., down the generations. But I believe we have to really do whatever we can to carry the spirit and the mood of Prabhupada. And for that, we have to legislate some things to make sure that he stays in as the central point for us all. Just my little aside comment. All right. And anybody, if you want to, we can spin off. You want to talk about that a little bit. That's also okay.
No, that is very nice. Thank you, Maharaj.
Maharaj, I have a question.
Yes.
Is it okay to get inspired by a guru from a different tradition?
There is always inspiration that comes from many different directions. The Bhagavatam talks about 24 gurus, and most of them are not even humans, right? So you can source mercy and inspiration from many different directions. But what you want to do as a checkpoint, you want to make sure that whatever that other individual is saying or doing is somewhat in line with our beliefs. If you want to stick to a particular path or sampradaya, then that's necessary. You know, like Prabhupada did that. He quoted Chanakya Pandit quite a bit because he had incredible wisdom, and but he wasn't necessarily a strong Vaishnava. He was a strong moralist. Let's put it that way. But he did quote him as a way to make points, to sort of underscore what is being said. And all good speakers and writers do that, right? They give examples from outside the Sampradaya. Like we can say something and say, well, you know, Mother Teresa said, like, I remember I was in South Africa at one of the Rath Yatras there, and they asked me to say a few words behind the mic on the stage. And I just quoted Mother Teresa. I said, she said, the world is spiritually sick, right? So that kind of a statement is pretty general, and it's not outside of our beliefs. But if you're going to quote someone, you can quote the Dalai Lama if you want, you know, but he doesn't believe in God, and he also eats meat. So it's you know, I would just say, don't veer off too far. I like one of his statements. He says, kindness is my religion. That's a good point to make, kindness. In other words, he's saying, oh, the goodness is my religion. So you just have to be a little careful, a little bit choosy and picky, but inspiration. I know some young people, they're inspired by Taylor Swift, whatever. I've never seen her or heard her. I just know she's a influential person in the music scene, and she's got some strong values. Maybe Bhagwan Nard or somebody you know a little bit more about her, but I'm just so there are certain things that are in line with our Siddhanta, which you can use, you can quote, maybe get a little inspiration from, just because it's keeping in line with our acharyas, but you know, just be careful not to indulge too far. Remember, you're married to one person, right? You're married to one individual, and that person should mean a lot to you. And don't start flirting around with other people. That's my point. I just make a point about loyalty in this regard. Any comments?
I think in New Jersey, there's a lot of Bhaktichara Swami's disciples, and he having left his body, in my opinion, quite suddenly, I guess they have to get inspired by his Ocean of Mercy book and his writings, and
Sure.
seek other Maharajas like yourself, Maharaj, when you come again to New Jersey. So
Well, we're now talking about somebody who's in our lineage, right? And Bhakti
Yes.
Maharaj, he was the one all for promoting Prabhupada as the founder Acharya, and he was doing seminars and that, and helping a lot of devotees to understand what that really means, and her historical perspective. So, but he's not outside of our domain; he is within our domain. So, you can certainly get inspired by devotees that are in the Hare Krishna movement. Just be careful not to veer off too far. Jai, that's important. That is the beauty of Prabhupada. He actually inspired a lot of people who are now in real good standing, and have done incredible work. The power seems to stream through Prabhupada. Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to deny the good work and the influence that very strong individuals have. They inspire by their, not just their words, but by their actions.
Maharaj.
Yes.
Yeah, we had Anuttama Prabhu from ISKCON of DC here up in Toronto this past weekend.
Well, thank you for making the distinction. Otherwise, you're going to confuse us, right?
Yes. Anuttama
Just to let everybody know, we call you Anuttama Jr.
Yes. So he was
Okay.
mentioning during ISKCON's 50th at Harvard, one of the professors was mentioning that Prabhupada's contribution was unique, and even in comparison with Jesus and Muhammad, he was mentioning that Jesus was in his own land, preaching to his own people and mostly his own age, whereas Prabhupada went to a different land, to a different culture, and sharing Krishna consciousness with people of a much different background and different age. So what Prabhupada has done is something very magnificent that way.
Nice point. Nice point. Somebody might argue that Jesus left Bethlehem, and when he came back after a long time, he wasn't seen in the same way as outside his domain. I mean, he said, "Hey, he's our little Johnny boy, you're never a saint in your own village, right?" So it requires stepping out a little bit, yes. But I appreciate what you're saying. Again, how Prabhupada is really, um, uh, he was definitely inspired and had the Shakti that given to invested in him by the Supreme Lord, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to go and do this incredible thing. Really at the age of 70, who's in young people interested in old man? That's the incredible thing. Young people looking for a grandfather figure or father figure, and they found him. And they're fascinated by it. Yeah, so I think we need to just to hit on the point again, do whatever we can to make sure that Prabhupada stays there in the central figure. Now, biggest challenge though, Prabhupada did make some social statements, um, based on his own life experiences that would be a little bit questionable. So that's what somehow or other we have to, embrace the essential teachings of Krishna that he's delivered, and understand also the social political circumstances that allowed him to make certain statements that might be questionable. Like I'm just telling you now, honestly, very nice guy that I was cultivating, and said, I heard about some of the remarks made by you, Guru. I'm not sure anymore. And it just took a little time, half hour, to help him to see things in a different light. And that little bit of extra care, and walking someone through this difficult trail sometimes, like a trail where there's a lot of prickly stones, and like thorns on the side. You got to watch where you go. I think that's necessary for some of us to do, to help us to understand Prabhupada in whole. Yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, that was very that occasion, the 50th, was I think that's all recorded. You can see what the scholars were saying about Prabhupada. Thank you for bringing that up. Anybody else have any other questions on either the first or second shlokas, the question section and the answer session? Okay, Adhikarta saying he has to tend to his child. Fine, that's being very dharmic. Anything else, Bruce? Okay, then Bhupender, we got somebody by the name of Bhupender who's joining us.
Yes, Prabhu. I just, Maharaj, I have only one point to make because the internet is full of different knowledges. There are a lot of different preachers. There are different sampradayas, as you rightly mentioned, and obviously we all seek, different level of knowledges when it comes to the Vedic tradition. But since these there's the Vaishnava Sampradaya, and then under the Vaishnava Sampradaya, there are different Sampradayas. Again, under the Shiva, there are Shivites and different traditions. And the different lineages, Guru, they have their, knowledge, information available on the YouTube. And based on my personal experience, I think we should stick to one Sampradaya and follow that tradition. I'm not saying that one should not gain the knowledge, which may be relevant to our Sampradaya also, from the different Sampradaya, but it can be very confusing if they we get distracted and then hear one set of information from one guru and second set of information from second guru. So I just that I want to make a point that out there are a lot of preachers, a lot of gurus within the Sanatana Dharma, and people make it confused about the information. So it's better to follow one tradition. We are from the Gaudiya Sampradaya as an example, and we follow the complete path of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. So it can be too much if you hear the lot of information available out there in the open internet. So I just want to make a point that we stick to one sampradaya and understand the all knowledge from one source.
Yeah, Bhupendra, thank you so much for underscoring what we were trying to say here. Even in the early days when Prabhupada had disciples who were very tender, and even fragile to some degree, he cautioned us about going to his god brothers even, and the reason is he would say something like, well, even if they say something a little different from what I'm telling you, that will cause confusion, right? So again, the sense of loyalty is important, and sticking it out and not be too eclectic, I guess you could say. Like it's okay for us to go to an interfaith group and make friends with the Brahmins of the different communities. But at the same time, we do have our commitment to our way of thinking, and let's stick it out again. The loyalty to a spouse, you might, and the loyalty to your pet, your dog. Stick to your dog. He's dependent on you. You're dependent on him. Work with them. You can admire other dogs, but you've got your dog. If I can use that as an example, that loyalty is real important. It gets lost very easy in the world in which we live today. And at the same time, I'd just like to say, let's not be totally fanatical and just sort of block our ears, say, I can't hear anything else from anyone else. No, I don't think that's proper. Learn the art of being loyal and having your ears open. Do not be naive. So I think that we're on the same page, Bhupender.
Absolutely, Prabhu.
Is that okay? I hope that discussion was healthy. Just look at Bruce. Look at the last shloka. Okay. Look at the last shloka from Bhagavad Gita. This is not the first time this Mati Mama appears at the end. So look at 1878. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. So this is it's actually Sanjaya's opinion. But his opinion is a shared opinion from Krishna, who uses the terms. So that means there's other opinions out there. But what's really important is to kind of, in a way, blindfold yourself. I'm sticking to the opinion of Krishna. When people would ask Prabhupada, what about this guru and that guru and this pundit and that pundit? And he would come back with a question. The question was volleyed towards him, and then he'd volley a question back. Said, well, what are they saying? Like, what does this pundit, so what does he say about Krishna? Who is Krishna? Right? So if the person that is being questioned about, a great speaker, a great thinker, and if their opinion about Krishna is, oh, he is great, he is the source, he is God, manifested, then I think we can take them seriously. But if they give it a definition which is a little bit off course, then I don't think we should take that person too seriously. So opinions are allowed, right? Your eyes are open, your ears are, you're hearing all kinds of things. But just remember, when you're married to someone, you're married to that person. I'm just sticking to old values. And then things become much more clear. Again, I just want to reiterate, if I hear someone saying something that's, a very substantial and very enlightened quote, like sometimes you go for quotations of different things. Hey, that's right on. That's exactly what we believe in. I'll use that. That's an endorsement for me. That's fine. But we also have to keep in mind that something Prabhupada said, probably more than once, he said, I've given you everything. So where else can you go with that? Like we have, all you need to know about God is there. I mean, I came from a different tradition. There was anywhere near the details about the Supreme Personality of God that I could muster up, until I came to Krishna consciousness. So much there. And then, so sometimes we hear someone come along, well, Bhaktivedanta Swami, he brought the basics, and he was there to just clear the forest. But now the forest is cleared. Let's grow the vegetables. That kind of stuff was going on. But people talk like that. But Prabhupada's telling us what God looks like and what his world is like. And you can have these expectations when you go to his world. I don't know what more there is to explore, to be honest with you. Maybe we want to get to finer details. Yeah, Ananta Shesh says what Prabhupada gave in writing and audio are unlimited. Yeah, that's right. Good, Prabhu's, good discussions, actually. And we just have like 2.5 minutes left, something like that. But anybody?
We
Yes?
sometimes we want to be on the top of everything. So we try to even say, oh, Prabhupada has cleared the forest and therefore let me give you something extra now. Something like that.
Yeah, that's ego-based. When people make those kind of statements, it's ego-based. Yeah. I think what convinces people, though, and this is important to try to digest, if we're convinced that Prabhupada's given us everything, then we have to act it. Not that we know everything, but the more you know, the more you see, the more humble you become. Humility registers with people. And so it's behavior that tells a lot about what you have assimilated. And if the way we carry on is based on ego, that tells a lot to people who say, I don't think that's an enlightened group. So let us be proud followers of Prabhupada and show by example, you know, what it means to be a spiritual person, to be in love with God. Okay, from Anantashesh, who is there? Okay, lectures, whatever. Sorry. Anything else, Bruce? Any other last remarks?
Maharaj, you said meet the Brahmins from other types of, other
Religion.
paths. Yeah. So, like,
Yeah.
but if they're, going
Just
to
talking
condemn
about
us,
like interfaith groups. When we get, it's very healthy for us to spend some time with, say, like Catholic priests, or you got Jewish rabbis, and this and that. People are different because we all have the same kind of things. We all share old values. You know, that we share old values. You know, very concerned about children, very concerned about the way they're being raised, very protective, and you know, we're very concerned about, you know, these, you know, the alcohol consumption, drugs, and all those. We actually share a lot of things together, or pornography, and so in that way we can share concerns and try to sometimes collectively do something about it, to make legislative changes in the society and so on like that. So it's okay to spend some time with these persons, and so you don't stay in a little like a bubble, and you're not like a person, like you're not an ignorant person. You would have a little idea of what's going on. Again, like I said, please know who your president is of your country. Like, yeah, we got Charles. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, you have to be careful going astray from ISKCON, because we around here, we even have a Narayan temple, and they do things a little differently than us. And you even have to be careful in your own temple, because I had somebody try to Ridvick me, and it was handled accordingly.
Yeah, you do have to be careful. All around us, there's always going to be some difference, different approaches, and but again, I'm just saying, like, loyalty is there. That's why you know, you have a guru, and you know, a guru who's a straight shooter with Prabhupada, and it's very clear, and we make it clear to people. We don't want to be distracted by other things. We've got a good thing going. Why divert? You know? At the same time, have respectful, you know, at a distance, respectful of, you know, other people. You know, some different approaches. Yeah, that's the art of life, is to know how to live in this world, and let things be around you, but you've got your own convictions. Again, you've got your own family, you've got your own nest or your tree. This is giving us space to be what you need to be. And of course, we are very much a sharing movement. So we like our cause, we like our mentality, we like our mode of nature, we like this mode of goodness, which can transition into pure goodness. We like to share it. We've benefited individually, and we like to share that with others. Thank you so much, Charles. And I think we should probably, let's say, we're going to see you this weekend, right? Aren't we?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Yes, Maharaj, looking forward to
it. Charles is going to take a new step this Sunday, right? Good. Thank you. Congratulations. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
All right, then I think we should close off, and next week I'll still be in Florida somewhere, and we should be okay to get together. Okay. I'm glad it worked out for us, just you know, blocking out the video, and I guess we could hear enough well enough.
It is better. Yeah, it was better. Yeah.
Made a big difference. Bruce, we hit on some good topics. It was good. It's wholesome. Thank you all very much. Please stick to your vows and your sadhana and be strong. So Maya can't hurricane you through. Like in Florida, you got hurricanes, right? Maya's the hurricane for everyone. She's not just in Florida, she comes everywhere. Yeah. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vancha Kalpa.
Siddhaveva cha patitanam
Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
All
Krishna.